Hello everyone, the following is a video tutorial for how to create the fourth part in the Intro to Model Making with Fusion 360 activity. For this part, we will use the revolve, chamfer, circular pattern, and hole features to create all the part features that you see here. For this one, we have an isometric view overlaid with isometric grid lines, and it says here on the side that each grid space is equal to 1/4 of an inch. So we're going to have to do some counting here and estimating to figure out what our dimensions are going to be. So with that in mind, 1/4 of an inch. For the height here, I can see that it is 4 squares all the way up from the bottom to the top. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then that'll be 1 inch. And from this point, going all the way out to the edge here, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4 to the center of this hole. So we'll remember that for where the hole placement should be, 1 inch away from on center. And then there are 2 extra squares out here. So it'll be 1.5 inches all the way across. For this cylindrical feature that you see sticking up here, that'll be 1/2 inch radius there, so 1 inch diameter in total. And again, this will be a 1.5 inch radius or a 3 inch diameter total to create the parts. For the holes that we see here, we have a 0.375 inch through hole, so that hole will go all the way through the part. The bottom diameter is 0.375, and it has a countersunk feature on the top here that'll add basically the chamfer that you see, and that'll be at 1/2 inch at 90 degrees. The other 3 holes are going to be 1/4 of an inch through, so the diameter is 1/4 of an inch. They will also be countersunk and have a 3/8 by 90 degree displacement for that. At the very bottom, you can see it also adds that there is a 1/16 by 45 degree chamfer on the 2 circular edges. So that'll be this bigger outside edge and the smaller cylinder that sticks up here in the center. So with all that in mind, if I flip over to Fusion here, you can see this is what the part will look like when it's completed. And if I jog all the way back and play this through one step at a time, this will be the first thing that we get on the screen. And we're going to make this using the revolve feature. To revolve something, you need to create a sketch and then pick an axis to rotate it around and revolve it around. So the sketch looks something like this. It'll be using the origin, 1 inch, 1/2 inch down, another inch over, 1/2 inch down again, and 1.5 inches across the bottom. So those are the dimensions that you want to create in the very first sketch. And then when you go to do the revolve move, you want to pick that sketch, select the axis here, and pick this line, this center line, as your axis. You're going to let that revolve all the way around 360 degrees and say OK. The next step is you can go ahead and add that countersunk hole there. I'll just go ahead and pull up the hole so you can see what the dimensions were for this. I gave it a concentric reference and picked this ring here to get it on center, and then setting it to a countersunk hole with a flat base. Set the extents to all. My top diameter is 0.5. The angle is 90. Bottom diameter is 0.375. Cut that hole into the part. And then the next step is to create a sketch to get the placement for the other 3 holes that are going to be out here on the perimeter. To do that, I select that surface here, create a sketch, put a point. You can go to create and do a single point. Get that on center coming off the origin down this red line and have it be exactly 1 inch away from the origin. With that placement and with the point in that location, you can then go and add the hole feature here. For the hole, you can select that point directly, and you can see that I have actually 3 holes. I did a circular pattern in the sketch there. We can also do a circular pattern outside of the sketch, and so I was going to talk us through that method just in case you were wondering. But select the 1 point to create your first hole, and that again will be an extents all hole type countersunk. Drill point can be flat. Your top diameter is 3/8, 90 degrees. Your bottom diameter is 0.25 inches. Get that hole cut in, and then you can do a circular pattern that can be found here in the Create panel. Go to Pattern, Circular Pattern, and with that you can select different things. The hole itself will be a feature. So switch that over to Features. It'll allow you to select the hole. You can then select your axis from this ring or even the outer ring. And with that, you'll be able to set up how many additional holes you want cut into the part. The very last step will be to add the chamfers. If I double click that, you can see there are a couple options here for type. With the information that we were given, it gave us a distance and an angle. So you can go ahead and select that as the option. And that's 1/16 for the distance at a 45 degrees. I picked this outer ring and this ring on the top of the cylindrical part that's raised. That was everything from start to finish to create this part. If we check the properties for it, our numbers should be for volume 3.711 and for area 21.682. When you're done, go ahead and save this as Intro to Model Making part number 4. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.